Hello everyone, I'm Steve Wyss and I'm joined as ever by Kevin Harper. This is the All Sports Betting Podcast Cricket World Cup 2019 previews. We're at the semi-final stage. We've got India against New Zealand and England against Australia. So, the group stage is over, Kev. First of all, what are your thoughts on that group stage?
Pretty epic, really, wasn't it? When you think that came down to the last couple of overs of the entire group stage to determine who would win it and who would come second. Yeah, really, really good. Four good sides in the competition, left in the competition. I'm not going to suggest that they're the four best sides in it. I don't think they are. I don't think New Zealand are. I think Pakistan and Bangladesh both held claims of being better than them, particularly Pakistan having beat New Zealand in the group stage. But the rules are the rules, and New Zealand have got in by hook or by crook. And all four teams know all about World Cup semi-finals, don't they? So we should be in for two cracking games.
New Zealand, I mean, they kind of remind me of a team that, say in footballing terms, enter the playoffs, but they kind of got no momentum. Like all their wins were very early in the group stage. Yes, it's a new match, but I mean this is a plum draw for India, isn't it? I mean, at one point on Saturday they were packing their bags for Edgbaston, and then they were back to Old Trafford, to-ing and fro-ing. But in the end, they've got the draw, which suits them best, surely.
Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, to be fair to New Zealand, they've got one of the better records against India in 50 over cricket historically. They've had 100 completed matches, these two, throughout history. New Zealand are 145 and India 55. So there's not a million things between them on that score. And when you think that India have been a much stronger cricketing powerhouse for much longer than New Zealand have been, that's probably a little bit of a surprise. Yeah, there's no doubt that New Zealand are the draw that you wanted in this, particularly when you look at the other two sides. But they're dangerous underdogs, New Zealand, aren't they? And it'll be interesting to see whether they can overcome their recent form. Like you say, they're the team that's missed out on automatic promotion and are sitting ducks in the playoffs. You'll know all about that, obviously, as a Leeds United fan yourself. But as you'll also know, being a Leeds United fan, form goes out of the window in these semi-finals because, as we saw with Leeds in that first leg against Derby, they actually won against the odds, didn't they? That's all New Zealand have got to look at here. What's gone before means nothing now. It's just 100 overs in front of them. They need their best performance of the tournament to be competitive. But let's look at it from an Indian point of view. Happy days.
Well, this match is being played at Old Trafford, and surprise, surprise, some rain is going to be in the air. Often is this side of the Pennines, and make what you want of this forecast. There's nothing definite. It's one thing I just do know: there's going to be rain at some point in the day. It's a question of when. We don't know how long for, how heavy. It's a ground that's used to rain, so it drains quite well. But I think we can pretty much say it's going to be a day of interruptions, and that may well help New Zealand out because it feels like the sort of day where there will be reduction in overs potentially, and the less overs in the game, surely that does level the playing field out, Kev.
Well, it will take a fair amount of rain for a shortening of the overs, Steve. We've got 2 hours leeway for these two semi-finals. So we're going to be off the field for 2 hours before we start losing overs, but the umpires will curtail the interval before they lose overs. So you're probably looking at having to be off the field for 2 hours 25, 2.5 hours before we lose overs. So yeah, whether we get that much rain remains to be seen. Also, if it's on, off, on, off, on, off, will they calculate it accurately? Remains to be seen. I'd be surprised if we don't get sort of 45 overs in at least, though. But I'm expecting near enough the full 50 overs. But you're right, if there is a shortening, probably does help New Zealand because they won't have to bat for as long, albeit probably curtails the strength of their batting in Kane Williamson, who probably needs a bit longer than 20 overs to be at his maximum output. So yeah, you can look at it both ways, really. Obviously, any rain that does fall, if it's sitting on the outfield, will impact the Indian spinners. That will certainly help New Zealand.
India, they're 1 to 3 favourites to win this game. Everyone's expecting them to get the business done. Fundamentally, what's your prediction here? Do you think it's going to be a comfortable India win, or is there the chance of a shock?
There's always a chance of a shock, isn't there? 50 over cricket at any stage, least of all knockout cricket. I've got to be honest, I can't call the winner of this one, purely because I think the team that bats first will win the game, assuming that there's no overs lost for the second innings, and I don't think there will be. I think it'll be I think any rain that's around is sort of morning and lunchtime, isn't it? The longer the day goes on, it tends to be a lot clearer. So if there's a shortening of overs, it will still be the same amount of overs. So yeah, I think the team batting first put the runs on the board, scoreboard pressure. We've seen near enough every game at Old Trafford won by the side batting first. In fact, I think we've seen every game at Old Trafford won by the side batting first. Albeit New Zealand only just got over the line here, didn't they? But yeah, I mean, ultimately, you'd think India will win the game, but A, they're very short. B, I wouldn't want to be on them to cover a handicap because it is all about winning the game. And sort of, if you're on them and they've got, I don't know, let's say they've put 300 on the board and the handicaps are around about 20.5 runs, aren't they? It'll be all about stopping them scoring 300 rather than stopping them scoring 275. Bowling them out's not an issue here. It's all about scoring one more run than the opposition, isn't it? So, wouldn't want to get involved. Certainly wouldn't want to get involved in the match betting until I know who's batting first, and I definitely wouldn't want to be involved in no handicaps on a game like this.
So, right, you got some bets for this game, and we'll start with New Zealand side of things. And Tom Latham, someone who you think is going to go well here, you're going to take him to score over 21.5 runs, and also take him in the top New Zealand batsman market. He got 50 the other day, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Very rare that I would have two bets on the same game on the same person. But I can't ignore the 10-1 on him to top score here. That's just plainly too big for a guy who's going to bat at number 5, particularly when at least 2 of the 4 above him are in no form whatsoever. Yeah, there wasn't many positives to come out of that England defeat, was there, for New Zealand? One positive would be that they batted their overs and saved themselves on net run rate. Not that it mattered in the end, but that was one positive. But the other positive was that Tom Latham found some form. Now, did he find some form because he was playing on what would be regarded as his home ground, having spent a good period of time with Durham? Time will tell. But either way, he'll have played at Old Trafford before. But he's got a cracking record against India, Steve, which has kind of jumped off the page at me. I kind of knew about it anyway. But just looking at his statistics, it's confirmed what I already knew, so to speak. He's played 13 ODIs against India in his career, and he averages 58.30. Now, when you think his career average is only 32.37, he's almost double as good against India as he is against any other side. Now, that's quite rare when you think that this is a side in what you would call English conditions, spending an awful lot of time in Asia for many of these ODIs. In fact, of those 13 ODIs, only 5 of them were played in New Zealand. The rest were all played in India. I'll just run through his scores as well. 79 not out, 46, 61, 39, 19, 103 not out, 38, 65, 11, 34, 51 did not bat, and 37. So of the 12 innings that he's played, only twice has he not gone past this total. So 10 out of the 12 times he's gone past it. In amongst that lot, there's 450s and a ton. So this is clearly an attack that he likes to play. 5 of those ODIs, the 5 ODIs in New Zealand, the last 5 that I read out, they were all right at the start of this year in January, when India popped across to New Zealand after their tour of Australia. So it's pretty recent form as well, has to be said. So there's a liking for this bowling attack from Tom Latham. I suspect it's because the spinners all turn it onto a left-hander's pads. Or apart from Kuldeep Yadav, who doesn't really spin it too much anyway. So I'm guessing that's why Latham likes them. And on a pretty decent batting deck, having just scored 50 last time out, I think that 22 runs is perfectly achievable. And like I say, anytime you get 10-1 on a number 5, you really don't need to look into the where's and what whereabouts and things. You've immediately got value, and we should not ignore it.
Yeah, let's hope Tom Latham has a good day there at Old Trafford. Onto the India batting side of things, and you're going to take Virat Kohli to score over 40.5 runs with Boyle Sports, and I mean, it's a pretty self-explanatory bet, really. Not much needs to be said about Virat Kohli, but I'm just interested in the line itself because, I mean, that does seem quite very low. I don't know what else is out there exactly, but I would imagine there's a few in the mid-40s at the very least.
Yes, I'm at 49.5. He's only even money to score 50 in the game, so how are you getting 5 to 6 on him to score 41? I'm not entirely sure. With about an average of 59.70 in his career, not going to be many teams that Virat Kohli is going to be averaging more than against, but New Zealand is one of them. He averages 68.52 against them. So even we're probably only looking for 2/3 of an average innings actually, and to get this covered. I won't go all the way through his scores against New Zealand, but let's run through them since the last World Cup. 85 not out, 9, 154 not out, 45, 65, 121, 29, 113, 45, 43, and 60. So again, only twice has he not covered this total in, what would that be? 7, 9, in 12 innings. So exactly the same ratio as Tom Latham. He's a class act, isn't he? Kohli's already got 450s in this tournament. Probably would have gone and got another 50 on Saturday if India hadn't got to the target. When they did, he was in the mid-30s, not out, and seemingly looking good. Brilliant batting wicket here, isn't it? And yeah, while he's up against a decent attack, it's probably an attack that's kind of blunted with the conditions that they're going to be facing. Here. He scored 72 against the West Indies on this ground, 77 against Pakistan, and the only thing that's been lacking from Kohli in this tournament so far is a century, isn't it? And who'd put it past him to deliver in the biggest game of the tournament so far? So, yeah, over 40.5 runs for me. In fact, I'd probably go with any of the lines that are out there. You've got to think he's going to score 50 in a game of this magnitude.
Yeah, Virat Kohli run line over 40.5 at Boyle Sports. I mean, I'm not got any selection for this game. The one that tempted me was Jasprit Bumrah's performance at 40.5, but it was just one notch too high for me, Kev. I think, I mean, the thing is, you want to be bowling at those New Zealand openers, don't you? And he probably will be. So, that's a couple of wickets that someone's going to get fairly quickly, I think, the way things are going. So why not him? But, with that 41 line, he's not going to bat, is he? So you're going to need him to get 3 wickets or a catch in there somewhere, and I don't like that idea. I just don't. He probably will get 3 wickets, to be fair to him, but on what's a good pitch, I think I'm going to refrain. So it's a shame it wasn't half a notch lower. But in terms of, you got one final bet for this game, and I've got to be honest, this one looks like it's a bit of a risky one. Under 9.5 sixes. This pitch has been playing really well, hasn't it? It's an absolute batting paradise. Ball comes out the bat beautifully, usually. Now, these two teams are not big hitters of sixes, but if they are going to hit some maximums, you would think it's going to be today in this game, Kev. But you're going to back the under on sixes.
Yes, certainly am, Steve. Yeah. I think 9.5 is too big. I think you've got the 2 best bowling attacks in the competition on show here in terms of the lack of respite that they give you. Obviously, Australia have got the best 2 bowlers potentially in the tournament in Stark and Cummins, but after you've seen them off, there isn't an awful lot about them. But that's not the case with these 2. Once you've seen off, if you've seen off Kumar and Bumrah, you get 2 classy spinners. Hardik Pandya's having a really good tournament. And then for the New Zealand, once you've got through Bolt and Henry, you've got Lockie Ferguson, the 3rd leading wicket taker in the tournament, to come on. Mitchell Santner's having an underratedly good tournament. Jimmy Neesham's taking wickets. So don't think there's any respite for any of the batsmen in this game. And I don't actually think either batting lineup's going well enough to hit 10 sixes here. We've mentioned about New Zealand throughout the competition. Yes, okay, 1 or 2 are finding a little bit of form. But they're not the ones that hit sixes, are they? Kane Williamson doesn't hit many sixes. He's the glue of the innings, the class act of the innings. Ross Taylor hits a few more, but, if he's in early like he has been throughout the tournament, neither of them will be able to go big because they'd just be exposing their middle and lower order. And it's the same for India. India have got a weak middle and lower order as well. So Sharma, Rahul and Virat Kohli, they can't go too big too soon. Probably only really Sharma goes big in amongst that lot anyway. So I'm expecting an awful lot of runs to be scored on the dance floor here. I don't think there are going to be too many risks in terms of hitting sixes. This is all about winning the game. It's not about looking flashy and flamboyant. The bowling attacks are very good. They target the stumps. Generally, when we've seen sixes on this ground, it's been poor bowling or short bowling, which has been hooked for miles. And I don't think you're going to get too much of that from either side in this contest.
Who's the Dane in this?
I'm not even sure that there is one, Steve, to be honest. I mean, the only what you would call natural six-hitter who's in any form whatsoever so far in this tournament is Hardik Pandya, isn't it? And he's going to bat 5-6. I mean, MS Dhoni's gone nowhere with the bat. Rishabh Pant hasn't really got going yet. New Zealand haven't really got a six-hitter, have they? Maybe with the exception of de Grandhomme, but he seems to want to pick out every fielder in the deep that's going. So I'm really not sure there is. I just think his lines are way, way, way too high. This is a World Cup semi-final, for crying out loud. This isn't a 50-over hit-a-thon down the local club. Do you know what I mean? This is going to be intense. This is going to be fiery. It's going to be a real contest. And I just do not see where 10-6s come from. If I've got it wrong, and I mean, you're absolutely right with what you say about the ball coming onto the bat. Yeah, no problems with that whatsoever. But I just think the magnitude of the occasion, more than anything, will rule the roost here. And I don't see 10-6s. As I say, if I've got it wrong, I've got it wrong, and I'll take it on the chin. But I just don't see it.
All right. Well, thanks very much for your thoughts on this semi-final, Kev. We're going to be back for the Thursday's one, England against Australia. Again, the weather there looks a little bit dicky right now, so we're going to wait a little bit before we get the preview out for that game, just so we can get it the best bets we can for you there. But yeah, the message out here is, yes, there's rain expected, but it's interesting to hear that there's that 2-hour 20 sort of what's the word there? They've got that in reserve, haven't they? If rain does strike, which is a decent amount on a day where it showers. So for those who are worrying about bets being interfered by the rain, then you probably are safe. Probably will get that 50-over thing in more often than not. So final prediction, the win. I know you said he was going to bat first, but India or New Zealand?
I mean, you've got to go India on all known things, but if Bolt can get rid of Sharma early doors, then it's game on, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say India, but New Zealand maybe got one more plucky display left in them. Whether or not it gets them over the line, I don't know. All right, well, best of luck then, Kevin. We'll see you again later in the week.
Cheers, Steve. Look forward to it, mate.